This conference will now be recorded.
Class, so what is the name I'm taking, like if state, if statement, and the name of the class is if statement. Public static void menu, and so here, so you can take any name because the reference it is like pointing to the string type. So we can define based on our requirement. We can else we can use string args. If you are defining also different name, it will work. And so simply I am defining x comma y. Simply I am declaring x comma y. So later I will assign some of the values in our x comma y. So like what are the values I am assigning here? So x is equals to 10 and y is equals to 20. So these are the two values I am initializing. So this is part is called declaration. So we can declare many values at a time, like more than one value we can declare. So using comma separated, and we need to initialize each value before accessing the particular value, right? So now I am defining one condition called x less than y. So the x less than y, so the condition is going to work, or the condition, like if the condition is true, if the value is greater than, like x value is greater than y, so the if condition is returning as a true. So this is already we discussed in our yesterday class. So now I'm using some block of codes here. How we can define? Using one braces here. So whatever, how many lines you are going to define inside the, so this comes under as a block of code, right? So we can define more than one line of code here. And for example, system.out.println. So if x value is greater than y, so what we can do here? So we can print. So sorry, x is less than y. X is less than y. So simply we can like print the particular message information on the console. So like you can close the braces of the if condition. Now you can use else block, and here, so before using an else block, what I'm doing, okay, first we can use here. So inside the else, what I'm doing, so like let me write else if x equal to y. If else equal to y, so we can print some message here. X is equals to y. Can you respond? You are able to see my screen and you are able to listen my voice as well, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay, thank you. So, so here first we are trying to find x less than y, and if the x value is less than to y, the condition is this condition is going to execute. Else this condition is going to, else if this condition is going to execute, right? So if both these two condition is not satisfied, the else block is going to execute. So this is the way we can write an simple if and else conditions, some block of code we can define. And if you want to define more than one line of code, so you can define inside this particular block. So this is going to execute how many lines we are defining inside the particular block. So let's run this same example and save this example as a if statement. And what is the file we are using? Folder name for Java programming. And we need to open command prompt. So go to the particular directory where exactly the folder is available. And so we already discussed yesterday, using Java C command, we need to compile if statement dot java, and it is compiled successfully Java if statement. So using the class name, we need to run our example. So here x is less than y. Now what I am doing, so the first condition is satisfied, and is printed some message on our command prompt, right? So now what I'm doing here, so simply I'm using x is equals to x into 2. So at this time we can observe which condition is going to satisfy. So once we change some line of code in our particular program, so again we need to compile. So Java C is successfully compiled, and using Java, if we observe x is equals to, open. So the previously, it is x is less than y, but now x is equals to y. So at this time, the second if else if condition is satisfied, because so now x value and y values are equal. So this is the way we can use some block like block of codes, right? So so this is all about the block of code. And we observed yesterday some scope of variable. So if you are trying to access some of the values outside of the particular block, so what is going to happen? So we are going to extend some error information. We need to use carefully within the block. So whenever we are defining any variable, so now for example, here I am defining one int a is equals to 10. I'm like initialize the a is equal to 10 value, but the a value I'm using in our uh, outside of this entire blocks. So here I'm trying to print on a value. So here I'm trying to print on a value. So let me compile this. Let me compile this particular program and do. See, we are going to see some exception here, error information. So what's showing here? So it's showing that at line number 17 in particular class, what is the class name? If statement, error cannot find the symbol. So why the a value we cannot accessible? Because so what we are defining the a value inside the which block? Else if block. So we are trying to access the outside of the the else if block. So this is nothing but these values as a local variable to the particular block of code. Like you can use it in the class, or it is in method, or it is in the some constructors also we can use. So don't worry, as of now we are not discussing any the constructor information. So just simply if you are using the local variable, so we cannot access the outside of, right? So and if you use the same a value here, a value at the top of method level, and do same compile, so the exception, the error is clear. Previously we have seen the error information here, and the error is gone because of. So if you check the block where is closed, here the block is open and the block is closed here, and within the block we are trying to access the a value, right? So because we declare, like we initialize the a value in the main method, and we are accessing inside the main method. So same thing if you again accessing the at class level, so again we are going to see the same error, right? So these many errors we are finding because so these class level variable, so we need to create an object to access the particular values. So make sure whenever we are defining the particular variables, so we need to use inside the particular blocks only, right? I'm removing this, so save and clean the screen, do use again compile, so it's compiled successfully, do it executing, right? So what is the output we are seeing here? X is equals to y. Now the block of code how we observe. Let me discuss something called the data types. How we can declare the data types, and what are the data types available, and how before you know, so what are the keywords are available, we need to observe. See, in Java is provided around more than 50, like 50 keywords are available. So let me write few of the keywords. Simply I'm defining here. So what is the keyword name? So keyword like abstract, and double, so else, enum, extend. So we have a lot of keywords, and if you observe, the keywords are coming as some different colors, and we cannot use the method name as a keyword name, or we cannot use class name as a keywords are constructors. So because so these are the keywords, and we cannot, these names are our user defined calls, class name or method name. So this is it. If you are trying to use, the compiler is going to get give an exception, right? So we will see each keyword while we using each application, right? So now, so I'm moving into the data part. So what are the data types available in Java? So why we need to use data types? First question, and we have 8 data types available, and they are categorized as a four four groups. And the first group called integers. So first group is an integer, and the second group is an floating. So floating point numbers we can call. So floating point numbers we can call it as a second group name, and the third one called so constructors. Sorry, characters. So characters, and the last one called boolean. So these are the 4 groups are available, and we will see each group how many like primitive data types are available. So inside the integer, we have byte, short, int, long. So these are the four primitive data types available in the particular group called integer, right? And the same as if you observe inside the floating group, float and double, right? In the character, we have only char. And inside the boolean, we have boolean only, like it is in a small letter. The starting letter is should be small. So nothing but, so these are the primitive types we can call it as. So we have 8 primitive data types available. So at first group having the 4, and the second group having 2, and the third one, and the fourth one. So we will see what is the range is available and why we need to use. So the long having the particular range called like long primitive data type range is how much? So minus, so we have very big range. So 9 comma 223 comma 372036 85477. So this is then a range is available to, and the same. So this is then a long range, and up to this range we can store in the particular long related values. So this is the, so it is the highest range having, and to come to integer, it's having some minus 214793 to 647. So same as short, right? So the short is having minus 32,768 to 32,767, and the same as a byte range. Byte range is having minus 128 to plus 127. So like this is the range of the values, so we can use it to store the particular the primitive data types. And as of now, don't worry, so where exactly these range is going to use. So like when we are developing any real-time application, most of the cases we are going to use the integer data types. So like and when we are using some this byte concept is used for like documents when we are using the file input stream or output stream. So we most of the cases we will use this byte primitive data types, and rarely we will use the long and short. So this is these two. It's very important in time to byte, right? So now just get a simple idea. This is then a range. So how we can declare in a variable? We observed, so declaring a variable, this is the way we can declare, right? So same as, so we can declare byte. So like b comma c. So this is the way we can declare in a byte, and the same as short also we can declare d comma g, right? So and we observe the long. So like f comma g. So these are the declarations part, and once we declare, we need to initialize. So if you are not initializing, so the default values are having 0. The 0 value is going to printed, and once we are trying to print a particular values. So this is all about the particular integer group. And come to the, like before going to discuss about the floating point, let me write an example using the integer types, how it's going to work. So what is the class here? So class name call light I am taking. So class name as a light, and I am defining thing args. Right. So now see here I'm writing some real-time example. So light speed, just I'm declaring in a integer, and the same as long days and long seconds, and the last one call long distance. So these are the variables I am taking, and light speed and days and seconds and distance, these are the variables of the particular data types, right? So now, so just I'm like providing an speed, light speed. So what, how much is the light speed? I'm initializing the speed of the light, light. So around 18,000. So yeah, like 1,80,000, 86, 1,86,000. Right. So this is then a normal speed of the light. And this I'm defining like, so defining in the sense I'm initializing the particular values to the particular data types. So like approximately it is in 1,000 days. So before using, like before if the sentence is closed, so we need to use a semicolon so that the compiler identified. So this is the end of the particular statement. So this is very important. If you're not using semicolon also, we are going to see some kind of error, right? So once we define, like initialize the date values, so now what I'm doing, I'm like I'm multiplying some values here. So how date into 24 and equals to, sorry, not equals to 24 into 60 into 60. So like, so because we need to convert, so these are the date, and per day, like we have the 24 hours, and 1 hour having the 60 minutes, and 1 minute having the 60 seconds. So this is the some calculation we are doing to get a seconds, right? So once we get a second, so we can find a distance. So how we can find the distance? So using light speed, light speed into seconds, right? So we can find a distance. So let me print system dot out dot first I'm printing days, and do copy. So once the date is printed, we can print on a distance. So we can print on the particular distance. So let me define distance. Now what I'm doing, I'm trying to print some message here. So here miles I'm trying to print, right? So distance, how many miles? So we are going to see on our comment prompt. So copy the class name and save as a same class name. and we go to Java C light.java. So the light.java is compiled successfully. Java light, and we need to run. So how many days? So we have around 1,000 days. So how many? Like what is the distance here? Some big number is printed, and these many whiles. So the light speed is going to like the light is going to speed the particular miles in the 1,000 days, right? So this is a simple example we find, and just see the different data types how we used in our simple example. This is we need to consider, because using this only we can develop any type of applications. So this is one type of we observed, right? So now let me like move to the the particular floating point. So how we can use? So here I'm writing the floating range. So what is the range here? And it's having some, it's the range is very different, like 4.9 e minus 324 to 1.8 e plus 308. So this is a range of double, and the float range is minus 0452, so 3.4 e plus 038. So this is an range, so we can store the values. So not an issue. It's the range is not like it's not important. So when we are developing any type of application, if we are using, so double float is going to work. Okay, and let me run some basic example using these two data types. Class, what is the name of the class? I am taking one area and public static void menu. So here I am defining particular for the area information using the flow type double. So like here we can use the variable name called pi and r and a. So these are the reference, like the variables I am taking, and these are the what type? So these are the double type. Double is one primitive data type, right? Now see how this primitive data type is going to work, and I am initializing the particular values. So what is the R value here? 10.8. So 10.8 is in a radius of circle. So it is in the circle of radius we are defining. So how 10.8? See here, because if you see in the previous example, because directly we are initializing some integer numbers, and so these are the floating numbers we are defining 10.8. So if you are like using this float and double, like some of the amount based application, and if you want to calculate some, so these are the pie charts or flow charts, some of the areas, and if you want to get the whole amount of the particular area, so we can use. And so what is the pi value here? So 3.1416 I'm defining. And after that, how we are going to get an area? A is equals to pi into, so like pi into r. R means r into r. R means is the radius of the scale, and to get the area of the particular circle, so we need some calculation here. So this is the math calculation we are using to get another particular area of the circle information. And just system dot out the println. So how we can use? So here area of circle is how much? Area of circle is, so simply print on the particular a value so that we can get the area of the particular circle we are going to see. And go to command prompt, use area.java. So it's compiled successfully, and use Java area. And the area of circle is how much? So 366 dot, so 436224. Like this is the way we can use the float and double values to like implement some of the calculation based applications, the amount based applications also we are going to use. So now we can move to um, the another group called characters. So how the characters are going to work? Let me run same example, and here Java demo I am taking. Public static void menu string args. So instead of like taking an args, we can use a test also, right? So this is then a reference of the particular the data type, like it is then a string. So now how we can use the char? We need to define like this char. So ch1 comma ch2 I'm using here. So these are the two characters I'm declaring, and once we declare, we need to use some values like ch1 is equals to, I'm like assigning the value called 88, and the second one ch2 is equals to, simply I'm like using an a y. See, so in the characters we can use the single the particular alphabetical, or we can use numerical. To use these, if you are providing the 88 is going to check the numeric, or if you are converting the value y into numeric style, so internally the yy is a how much, so this is also a same value we are trying to print. Here chi, ch1 and ch2. So, and again we can observe some magic here. I'm using only the print information here, not println. So the last we need to use println, and ch1 plus ch2. So let me save this example car demo. So once we save and go to Java C car demo. Java car demo. See, ch and ch2 what are the values we are seeing? So x and y. And if you observe here, the magic here, so 88 internally pointing to the capital X, right? So same the y value we are printing same as it is, because when we are using the numeric value internally, it's converted into the some alphabetical order. And if we use around 96, let me print. Oh, sorry, we defined some x and values here. Remove this, again compile. So it compiled successfully and print. So if we observe, here, so what is here? Some like comma related one numeric like some alphabetical some values printed on our some command plan. So if we use 68, so D and Y, and now we are able to observe some of the D and values is printing. So this is the way the character, when we are using the numeric values internally, it's converting as a some alphabetical some values, right? So this is the purpose we can use character to like store the single values, or we can store internally numerical values also. So the last one called the boolean. So how we can use the particular boolean, we will see.
Yeah, Suresh, I have doubt.
Yes, yes.
Directly we can give only character, means we can give only the numerical numbers or digits.
So you can use either this numeric, or you can use the character single single word we need to use. So if you are
Yeah.
trying to use many numbers call, so you will
If
get
you,
an
if you use any numbers, that will be converted into letters.
yes.
Okay.
So that's why only we observe the D is printing here.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So the last one we need to discuss about the boolean. So how the boolean is going to work. So what is the name? Boolean test we can take. Public static void main string. So and if we observe, so here we take like taken test. So if you are taking text args also, it's going to work. So like this is the name. So reference we can take any variable, it's going to work. So like I'm using the same args only. So how we can define the boolean values? Boolean B I'm declaring the, and once we declare, so we need to, the boolean is going to take only the two values. So what are the two values? So it's going to take true or false. So either we need to use true or we need to use false. So it's going to take only two, and if you're like initializing some other values, so we are going to get an exception. And if I'm assigning the values called the at first time false, and the second time like print on the particular boolean value. So B I'm trying to print, and see in the car demo I use the print method, and the second method I use the println. And if we observe the print and println, the print method is going to print on the some content which is available in the print method is going to use only. the same line is going to print, but the printer line is going to take in a next line for every time. So for this, and if you see, these two are considered as a single line. So because ch1 and ch2 we defined in our first method, and the d and y values we are using the second. So the print is going to print on the current line only, is not going to take next line. So for the second one is taking every time printing the values in the next line. So this is the main difference between these two statements. So when we are writing some logical application, so we need to use carefully, because so if you want to print the output on the same line, we need to use the print method instead of using the printer line. And use here, come to the current example. So I'm initializing the values of b false, and again we will print on a particular b value, and I am changing to true now. I'm changing to true, and we will see how it's going to work. And so if it is completed, we will add some logic here. So let me full test. It's compiled successfully. Java full test. So okay. So increase some space here. Now compile, run. So if you observe the at first time, what is the value it's printing? The boolean values false, and we change the booleans to true, then it's printing as a true. So now I'm adding some more logic in our the boolean class. If b, then print some message. What is the message? Just simply print on this particular message. Boolean value in condition basis if you are trying to print. So now what's going to happen? And the same thing I will use here. So two location added. So first I am giving an example. So what is the b value right now? It is a false. But so as we discussed yesterday, if the condition is true, then only the below statement is going to execute, right? So but at first time, what is the value b having? B having for false. So now this line of code is not going to execute it, and come to here, it's going like we change to true, this line of code is going to execute it. So and if you observe here, I'm not using any braces here. So you are using, if you want to use more than one line inside the particular condition, so we can use braces. And if you want to use only one line, so simply we can define like this. So this is the difference. So using the code block and the single lines. And let me save this, do compile. So it's compiled successfully, and do test. So now if we observe, after false we want to see some particular message information, right? But this message is printed on the at the last, because the boolean value is true, then only the last condition is printed. So this is the main difference, because so these are the basic concept is very important. And if you are attending any interviews, they are going to ask write some simple program, right? So these are the main components is very much useful to writing in a logical example, right? So now I'm adding something called, I'm adding one more some println statement here. we need only this. So here, so 10 greater than 9. So if the value is 10, like 9 is greater than 10, we need to print some true, because the boolean only is trying to print true or false, right? So let me add some condition, the particular println method, like here 10 greater than 9, and we need to use one more curly brace. So because, so this is pointing to this particular block of code, and the last one is pointing to the particular println method. So when we are using carefully, we need to use. So if you miss, first I'm trying to, I miss the particular line. So let's see, we are going to see some exception, right? So what's showing? Expected some, is showing some message like at line number 16, we find an error. It is expecting close braces. So like this, so we will find some error information and use the particular close braces and again compile. Now it is compiled. So we can observe the 10 is greater than 9. If it is correct, so we will see a true value, because so 10 is greater than, so 10 is greater than 9. So right, because we observe the particular true value here on top of and bottom, right? So this is the way we can use the boolean data types. And so these are about the primitive data types, how we can use. And we observe the scope of lifetime, because so we already aware of it, some of the like local variables and the global variables. If you're trying to access outside of the particular variable which is defined in the different black, we are going to see in some error information, right? Now, so so we will see some particular arrays informations. So how the arrays are implemented here. Let me write in some simple example how the arrays we can use using this particular primitive data types. So class, I'm taking one example called array test. Same. And so this is the basic syntax we need to follow. And if we observe here, so how we can like create the particular array. So what is the syntax we need to follow here? The like first we need to define the type of what type we are trying to use, like why you are trying to create a particular array related informations. And so what is the variable name of the particular array we are trying to use. So this is a declarations part, and once we declare, and we need to use initialization part called new type r. So we need to use new type we need to use, and we need to provide the particular size before using the before creating an object of the particular arrays concept. So right, this is an syntax. And so for example, I'm using into month underscore days, right? So just this is the way we can declare. And if you remove this also is going to work. And while initializing the particular values, we can use like using new int. Here we can specify the size. We can provide the size as a 10. Like we can specify how many? 12, because the months are having 12, right? So this is the way we need to create an arrays first, and you can use integer or the float. We can define any array primitive. What are the primitive types are available? So we can use. So we will see more information about the arrays concept tomorrow. So because this is very much important, like we need to understand more information before running an example. So if you have any queries, you can ask. So before closing our meeting today.
No doubt, Suresh. Thank you.
Okay. We will see you tomorrow.